Let's watch this other clip. I think some of the verbiage here again is kind of telling. Let's
Our detectives are dedicated to pursuing every lead, uncovering every fact, and holding those responsible accountable.
those,
Those.
not
Mm-hmm.
him, those.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it
Mm-hmm.
could just be, terminology that you use when you don't really know all the answers to what's going on. You can say those. It could end up being just him. But is there more to that? I mean, does that kind of, it looked like she was reading this,
She was
yeah,
reading, yeah, and I felt she was choosing her verbiage really carefully. I
yeah.
felt like there was a clear message at various points there that she was making, and it does, yeah, as we've said, it's awfully fishy about the mom, and it does seem like that is certainly still an open door for them.
It makes you wonder if there are others involved here, those involved here, if it goes beyond the mom as well.
Mhm,
Not saying that she
mhm.
couldn't be involved or complicit or at least knowledgeable in some way, shape, or form, but it does make you wonder a little bit about, was he distributing these images? Is this going
Exactly.
to, the fingers of this, are they going to reach out so far where, others can be investigated? Maybe not only for this case, but others of child pornography and things of that nature. Because they tend to flock together.
They do. I was just gonna say that. They have a trouble not sharing it, and they do have a tendency people with this kind of pedophilia do tend to find other people like-minded, and of course, we know they share this material. So, that was where my mind went to.
Why is that? I guess is the question. If you're doing something that's that horrible, that society frowns upon, even if you're like that's your thing, it's not a good thing by any means. It's horrible, but it just seems so insane that you'd be like, well, let's find some other folks that are doing this too. I mean, it just seems like the way to get caught. It doesn't seem to make a whole lot of
Mhm,
sense. Or is it that
mhm.
compulsion, that desire to see that sort
Yeah,
of shit, that just does that override all sense in
yeah.
people like this?
Yeah, the compulsion is the perfect word. I was going to say addiction. It really is like an addiction. And the
Hmm.
more material like this they can accumulate, the happier they are, the more elevated they feel. And I also think there's a big drive to feel normal, because they know, of course, on some level, they're not normal. They know
Hmm.
that they have these attractions
Yeah,
that, we, most of us consider it abhorrent.
yeah,
And so they get an elevation in mood from finding like-minded people, that there's this camaraderie that they get, which is
hmm,
horrifying. But yes,
yeah.
I've seen that many times, this tendency to want to find other pedophiles.
It makes them feel more normal, I guess, because
Yes.
the community
Yes.
then in other times past before the internet, did we have this sort of community, or have we seen that sort of thing escalate dramatically in the last 20 years because it's so much easier to create a community around anything and find people
100%. Yeah.
that otherwise you'd have to, I guess, physically find people. So I'm sure there was some of that going on, but I mean, has that now increased, this sort of these horrible people doing these horrible things to children? Is it happening at a higher frequency, I guess is my question, because there is more ways to find community with this and more ways for those abhorrent human beings to, I guess, normalize it within their mind because, well, these people are doing it too.
Yeah, I sure think that we are at least able to spot more of it now.
Hmm.
I don't know if we can have data going back. Is it happening more? It may be that there's still the same percentage of pedophiles that there's always been in the population, but they certainly are more overt about it because they are able to connect with each other and find these networks on the dark web and the other ways that they do this. So it's something that the internet is enabling
Hmm.
and allowing them to be a lot more active.
Yeah.
And it's one of the things in treating sex offenders that, when they were out in the community, out on, parole or conditional release, that we always very carefully monitored their internet activity, and they had to agree to that, to monitoring, because that was part of being out in the community, was they could not access this kind of material, and their internet was watched very closely because it was felt that the internet activity was reinforcing and continuing this addictive process that they had.
It's, yeah, it's just baffling, the whole thing. But hopefully we get more answers here as to who's all involved in this. And
Yeah.
um, maybe there is, some sort of silver lining to it. Never a good thing, obviously, that a child died and went through hell while she was alive. But maybe at the end of the day, this will take down uh, far more people than just one
Yeah.
that are involved in
Yeah.
that world. Hey, it's Tony Brueski. If you like the podcast, be sure to like, subscribe, and press that bell so you don't miss any of our updates on the cases we're following for you right here at the Hidden Killers podcast from True Crime Today. And thanks